Hello and welcome. This is an informational session about the Elemental Diet Success Plan by these two wonderful practitioners here, Dr. Roy and Debbie Steinbock, on vacation, coming in hot from California. Thank you for being here, you two.
You're welcome. Not as hot as we'd like it to be, unfortunately.
Exactly. Oh, is it cool? And then we have the SIBO specialist extraordinaire, Dr. Allison Seebecker. Hi, Dr. Seebecker.
Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome from your vacation, Debbie and Roy.
Thank you. And Allison and I had been wanting to do a masterclass on the elemental diet. And I had said, Allison, why don't you do it? And she goes, you know who I really know needs to do this? And then she introduced me to these two beautiful people. So we had a masterclass. It was excellent. A lot of people said, I'm good. I'm going to go do the elemental diet. I have what I need. But then we know that there's a group of people that need that extra hand holding is not the right word, but the extra granular support and information. And so to that, because you've had so many successes at your clinic with people on the elemental diet, that literally no patient you've ever started on the elemental diet has stopped before the full length of time is so impressive. And you've had such amazing results. They created this course, and then a lot of people had questions. So that's what we're here to talk about today, about the course. Thank you. All right.
And can
to,
I just say what I was saying when we just started the meeting before you guys came, Debbie and Roy, is that I just think it's incredible because really we've always thought of this treatment for SIBO particularly as one that you really should have supervision on. And basically your course gives that supervision. I mean, it's not actual live, you know, but the point is, it's what Debbie has told me is that it's everything she covers in the meetings she has with people while they're going through the elemental diet is in this course. And so that is what is so incredible to me, is because so many people try and do it on their own without any help, without supervision. And it's a bit more tricky. And like Siobhan was saying, it can be a big decision. And now we have that support. And this is why I'm here, why I am so supportive of this. I'm like, we have needed this in our community for so long, this kind of course that gives support. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that, you know, just to kind of differentiate a little bit is, I think it's less that people need supervision because they're so safe, elemental diets. Really, for most people, the worst that can happen is they'll quit. And it's really the support, like you mentioned. And I think that's what, you know, Debbie has walked through so many people, hundreds of people through elemental diets, and is sort of a master at figuring out the details of where people get hung up. And that's really what the program does.
Mm-hmm. And what we say, and we'll go into this in a little bit more detail, is that planning is so important, because if you know what to expect, and what to expect means what your body might encounter along the process of doing the elemental diet, when it happens to you, you're not scared and you're not like worried and going to throw in the towel. You're like, oh, this is, you know, as we call it, par for the course, elemental diet. And when that happens, people can relax into it and continue going instead of freak out and be like, I'm done. This isn't right, you know, because they know exactly what's coming.
Could you just, for people who are like, I think I know what the elemental diet is, but I'm not positive, can you describe what it is? And then can you take us into the course and sort of give us a behind the scenes view of the course? And then we'll take some questions.
You want to talk about the elemental
Sure,
diet after the course?
Sounds great. So an elemental diet basically is a diet where we use a specific medical food. So it's a shake that all the amino acids instead of proteins. It's very refined carbohydrates and fats, things that are incredibly easy to absorb. And the idea specifically for SIBO is that it's absorbed so high up in the intestine that the bacteria don't end up getting the nutrients and therefore they die. It also is hypoallergenic and anti-inflammatory and is great for gut rest. So it does work for a lot of other conditions as well, including arthritis. We've seen it help with some rashes and rosacea, chronic pain,
GERD, eosinophilic esophagitis,
healing from celiac. There's sort of like a long list.
Inflammatory bowel disease.
Oh, of course. Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly. So, so in addition to killing gut bacteria, which probably is part of the process for all of those things, it also helps with really inflammatory conditions in general. And that's the only thing you consume in a full elemental diet. That's the only thing that you consume during a 2 to 3 week period, sometimes even a little bit longer, but generally we recommend.
Exactly. So for SIBO, it's 2 to 3 weeks. For other conditions, we might actually do longer. For some, we might do much shorter than that.
Yeah.
And, we'll get into this too, but the course will also teach you how to really use an elemental diet as a tool in all those different ways, where you can use an elemental diet, not only for this, what we're calling like an exclusive 2 to 3 week elemental diet, but also to do a partial elemental diet, or as I call them, elemental diet resets as well, which some people will choose to do after their elemental diet usually.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you take us to the course and share your screen? And just for those of you who've just joined us, welcome. We're glad you're here. This is a shorter session. It's going to be primarily about the course. See if you have questions about the course. We'll try to get a couple of general elemental diet questions in, but we just wanted to give you a chance to see if this would be a fit for you. And, maybe this is the turning point for you. So I'm so glad you're here all. And we will be wrapping. I have a hard out at 2:30 Eastern time, but
Okay,
is that
perfect.
right? Yeah, but we'll get in there. Okay, go.
Okay, perfect. So this, first of all, is the programs page, which Siobhan can post the link to that. And what I
Yes.
just want to highlight on the programs page is that a lot of the questions we've been getting to our support team are actually covered on the programs page. So I just want to point out a few things here where the conditions that an elemental diet has been successful with are listed right here. And then this part right here that says inside the program gives you a real in-depth look at what the elemental diet success plan covers. So basically the breakdown of this is that there's different modules of the program that give you an overview of an elemental diet, take you through planning, implementing, transitioning off, and then even a bit of after the elemental diet. And that's broken down into 14, what we call bite-sized lessons. And I jokingly said to Roy the other days, they're the only bites you're going to be getting on an elemental diet. And these 14 lessons go from about 6 minutes long to 23 minutes long. So they're really short snippets. So the feedback we've gotten from participants is that some people dive in and watch the whole course, but then when they're at a certain point and they're feeling the physical challenges of the elemental diet, they go right back to that module and watch those 20 minutes again. Okay. So if you read through these description of these 14 lessons, you'll get a really great feel for everything that's inside the course. Okay. These are the 5 guidebooks that go with the course, but we're going to show you those when we get inside the course. Of course, you can take a look at some great success stories of people who have been through the program. And then the other thing I wanted to point out here is actually 2 more things. Right here, we do a peek inside the course. So for those of you on this call right now, we're going to give you a peek inside, but you can always go back here and watch a little sample of some lessons, which we're not going to do today, and then take a peek at some pages of 2 of the workbooks that are in the program. And then last but not least, there's a huge FAQ that we actually built out on our last vacation. And this, right?
Yes.
And this FAQ is really for people who are trying to understand if an elemental diet is right for them and the process of the elemental diet success plan and what that looks like. So tons and tons of questions here that you can look at and see if an elemental diet and the elemental diet success plan is right for you. Okay.
Very good. Hold
Great.
on, before you do that, I usually have Clarissa with us here and I don't have her today because this was so fast impromptu. So the ugliest link in the whole world, just posted it in chat, and then use the SIBO 50 to get that $50 off that is exclusive to us. Okay, so usually I'm like, just use the Q&A box and stuff. Just, it's a free for all, everybody. Just do you. Okay, keep going, you two.
Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we have, this is the back end of the course. So once you buy the Elemental Diet Success Plan, this is how the course will come through to you, okay? So the first thing to just point out here again is this is what I just showed you. The course content has all those 14 lessons that we just talked about. And we kind of specified here, we did little intros where we talk about each module on camera, and then we have all of the lessons. So you can see right here, when you're about to start the lesson, oh, okay, I have time for this one. This one's 9 minutes. This one's 24 minutes, okay? So this takes you through all the lessons in the course, okay? Then we have all these buttons at the top, and I want to start to show you some of the materials in the course. Okay, so this is the 5 guidebooks as well as a resource list that are included in the program. So let's take a look at the program workbook first. And I'm going to make this smaller so the page shows because we're on my small computer. Okay. So the program workbook is basically like having me guide you along without having me there. Okay. So this, like Roy said,
Debbie's superpower is organization, and she harnessed the program into a book to help you organize your thoughts and to kind of keep things
exactly.
keep things in check to make sure that you have everything that you need by the time you're done doing the program.
And I know Siobhan and Allison will resonate with this. I had a notepad for 9 months next to my bed. I'd wake up in the middle of the night being like, did I put that in there? And write it down in the middle of the night. So,
Yeah.
so the program workbook is 50 pages long. And basically what it does is it starts with every single lesson, with what the lesson is, a little snippet of what the lesson covers.
And that can help you, for example, when you're in the future, just to look back to what lesson do you need to go back into if you would need to review a lesson.
Yeah. And then it's actually a workbook where we have you take notes. And then I'm just going to toggle along to some that actually ask you to do things. So for example, lesson 3, where you listen to the differences between the elemental shakes, and we actually educate you about how to choose the formula that's best for your condition. Once you get to the end of that, we have you fill out the shake formula that you'll be using. Then when you get to the next lesson, which is our math heavy lesson, we actually have you going step by step where you calculate your caloric needs and you write down your daily caloric needs and what we talk about, which might be your daily caloric range, because in our normal diet, our calories change a bit from day to day. How many of us are eating the exact same calories? So we teach you how on an elemental diet, you figure out your needs and then you give yourself a range that you want to stay between.
And we even put in all the formulas just to kind of simplify. So we go over them in the lecture,
Exactly.
but we also simplified them here so that you don't have to memorize them.
Exactly. And then, for example, then you determine the number of calories per scoop of your particular formula. Then if your formula requires added fats, we make some notes there. Then you calculate the number of calories you're going to take per shake. And then on and on, we get you calculating your specific schedule of 5 shakes a day, et cetera, et cetera. And so, just on and on. I'm not going to go through every lesson, but I'll show you one more. So the supplements and medications lesson, after you listen to the lecture there, we have you fill out which supplements you're going to pause, which supplements you're going to continue on the elemental diet, and which supplements you're going to consider taking during the elemental diet, and which you're going to start upon food reintroduction. So when we say this is a workbook, it really is an active workbook that you go through. These are the exact things that I do with the clients in our private practice. And, we take you through so that you could figure this all out, for yourself.
And the feedback we've gotten is that it's incredibly helpful for people, particularly people who are not inherently as organized as someone like Debbie.
It requires help. That's all there is to it, especially if you have brain fog. Oh my gosh.
Totally.
It's video and audio and
It's
Correct.
all video.
No,
it's all video.
no.
They-
Well, it depends what you mean by video. So basically, we have like short little introductory videos where Debbie and I are talking on video. And then we have like slideshow videos basically for the lessons themselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. And I'll just show one more. I'm not going to show all of these.
The one other thing that Debbie didn't mention is in the program workbook, there's also little like snippets of quotes of things that we felt were really important to reiterate so that you have them written down there for you as well.
Yeah. And then at the bottom of each, the last page of each lesson in the workbook gives you action items. So you must check off your action items before you move on to the next, so you can really keep yourself on track. There's also, I'm not going to show it, but there's a program timeline that also lays this out in a different way, where you plan from 2 weeks before the elemental diet to during the elemental diet to after. And literally it just gets that organization, checked off for you.
Because as Allison mentioned, and Debbie's also mentioned as well, preparing is one of the keys to the success. Why we've had such tremendous success is that Debbie has taught people how to prepare for the diets. And then stay on track and kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, so just while we're talking about it, so this is the program timeline. So this timeline starts 2 weeks before the elemental diet, and it tells you what lessons you want to watch before you start.
Nice.
Then 1 week before you start, what are the things you want to do? If there's some supplements that you want to start taking, et cetera, et cetera. and then
Yep.
takes you through during the elemental diet and then after the elemental diet. So you have that whole outline there for you. then I'll-
Amazing.
Okay, I know a lot of people are so interested in where your cursor is, and then I need to have you show like the page showing the price and everything, if you would.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds
we'll go
great.
over that.
Yep, sounds great. Okay, and then just, this is the last one I'll show. This is the transition diet recipes. And we've gotten some really fun feedback from participants here saying that these recipes not only got them out of their elemental diet, but are a part of their repertoire now.
And they're part of ours as well.
These are all original recipes from our house. So this, the lessons, of course, there's 2 lessons about transitioning off the elemental diet and then moving beyond the elemental diet. But this gives you a little snapshot at the beginning about what you're going to do for the first 5 days of transition and then the 6 days on. And then we give you recipes, and I'm just going to scroll through them quickly. So these are the day 1 recipes for you to choose from. And we have recipes for people who eat meat. We have vegetarian recipes to get you through day 1. My thing's a little glitchy. I'm not going through this weirdly, but my computer's glitchy.
That's okay.
And then we move to day 2 to 5 recipes. And so we have some simple recipes there that you can eat days 2 to 5. In reality, if you eat all these recipes, we probably take you 14 days outside your elemental diet. But you can use them just for the first 5 days if you choose to. And that has been essential for people, because that's probably one of the biggest questions I get is like, when I'm done, what do I do? And
Right.
the lessons will teach you not only just how to use these recipes, but how to customize it based on the foods that have worked for you prior or the foods that have not worked for you prior
Yeah,
to the
Foods
elemental
that you're
diet
questioning.
as well.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
and then
Take me to that
last two,
page, girl.
what did you say?
Yeah, take me to that page. I got a lot of questions about the cost.
Okay,
and
can I
stuff.
show 2 more things on the course?
Yes.
Okay, so even though there's a big supply list in the documents,
Good.
from feedback from participants, we got feedback that said, okay, these are all the options. Thank you for sharing them all, but what are the ones that you most highly recommend and most frequently use and have gotten success with? So we created this page that basically does exactly that. So it lists only our most frequently used things. And if you click on each one, it just shows you a couple that we highly recommend. And so this has kind of taken the guesswork out for some people who are like, thank you for all, but I want the ones you've used. And then last but not least, and then I promise we're done, this is when you click on course FAQ, this is different than the FAQ on the programs page. We are building this out practically day by day as participants in the program say, hey, can you go into a little bit more detail about this? Or, a great question I got recently was how to calculate Allison's homemade formula for more than 2,000 calories a day, And so, we kind of build those out as we're getting those questions. What should I do if I require more than 2,000 calories per day? So we built this out based on feedback that we've gotten.
And that's going to continue to grow.
Exactly.
Okay. So they do what we do, which is update the course, which I love. And
Yeah.
there's the price. It's $347. You get everything that we were just talking about, and then you get $50 off. Is that right? Extra with the coupon.
Yep. So
Correct.
that brings it to $297.
Which is such
And
a
the
steal.
coupon is SIBO 50.
About 50. Yeah,
Go 50.
exactly. So
Yeah.
scroll up and find the really ugly link I put in there. And then after that, I put in the coupon, which is SIBO 50
In the chat, you mean?
in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
and just to
then
give you-
on April 11th, you're also doing an exclusive Q&A just for our community for people who sign up. So thank you for that too. Yes,
Correct.
Doctor?
What I was going to say is, Debbie, maybe you can kind of give people an idea of like what this would cost to do with just Debbie one-on-one, because
Yeah, good
Debbie
one.
offers one-on-one coaching still with this, but it's
Exactly.
significantly more expensive.
Yeah. So when people just work with me one-on-one with my hourly rate, it costs over $1,000 for me to take them through, with just the sessions that are required. And then we have Roy's added bonus. We say our combined hourly rate is over $600 an hour. So you get this course of like what it would be like to meet with us for a half hour. You get, 3.5 hours of information and all these resources that we've provided.
Excellent. I know this is a lifelong or career high, and we call this the gold, right? Somebody's career gold that like they've taken all their knowledge and put it into a course, and we love that. So I want to get in some questions. We have 11 minutes. Not
Debbie,
that
you
I'm
can
counting.
stop screen
Yep.
sharing.
Yeah, let's see your pretty faces. Thank you. Glenda, can you use the elemental diet for bad seasonal allergies?
That's a really great question. I would imagine that you can because of the anti-inflammatory nature.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say when I see a lot of people with allergies of all kind, really severe food allergies, oftentimes combined with severe environmental allergies. And in general, I feel like there's sort of like a threshold where people begin to have symptoms. And I think anything you could do to increase that threshold to make it higher, or decrease sort of a strain on that threshold. For example, removing inflammation in your gut will probably help with the environmental allergies, or really the ultimate inflammation in your nose and your eyes and the sneezing, those kind of things. So I do think it could help. It hasn't been specifically studied for that.
Are all these shakes, they're not coconut based usually. Lisa, I'm asking about that. No, the coconut's not their main dealio.
No,
I don't think there's coconut in any of the shakes.
there's no coconut in any of them.
No.
Yeah. And then obviously if you don't want coconut, you wouldn't use like coconut oil, right?
Or
Correct.
MCT oil, right?
Right. And Jesse, hi Jesse, are there many supplements required?
No. So there's no supplements required. We give a few optional supplements and we specify which conditions might require, like thinking about using those optional supplements. But as we said already, we're elemental diet purists, so you don't have to do anything.
I'd say the most important thing, as Siobhan loves to say, is some kind of prokinetic at the end. And if you're not working with a medical doctor, then you might want to use an herbal supplement to do that.
When you're talking about SIBO.
Yes, which specifically for SIBO.
Right on. You can sip all day and get a product you don't need to self-mix. Is it worth highlighting this? Are there any pre-mixed elemental diets?
I feel like they're
There's a semi-elemental that Dr. Pimentel sometimes uses peptamin.
Yeah,
exactly.
and Neocate makes some products, and I'm not sure, like I know the Neocate Junior, and I'm not sure that's 100% elemental. They do make some pre-made formulas, but
and
those are not ones we've really used, honestly.
I was just going to say, generally the newer variety are just so much more palatable and make this process so much less miserable for people, which is why we said that they've gotten such bad raps, is from some of these old generation products.
Yes,
exactly. So remember, if you're new to the idea of elemental diet, we've come a long way just in like 4 years.
yes.
Because some of the formulas that you're just talking about are disgusting because amino acids taste like vomit. Sometimes they don't, but the ones that were used.
They taste like vomit. They just sometimes get masked.
Yeah, right. So these newer formulations that are highlighted in the course are much, much more tasty. We'll leave it at that. Like definitely doable. I say that's
so subjective.
Yeah, right. So doable. Let me just say they're better than they used to be. And then everyone's on their own, right? Okay, Terry. Hey, Terry. I'm ultra sensitive. What typically causes me issues with supplements, etc., is what's in them. Does your product, so they don't have a product, right? They're going to suggest different formulations for you. That's a great question, Terry. Does your product contain B6, methyl B12, just to name a few things? You're going to be able to make your own. You're going to be able to go through and find formulations. And the best way to find out what's in the formulations is to read the, we at HSN, we would call it like the product deck. So like on the back, the ingredients, the deck of what things
there. I mean, there's like so many options of elemental diet shakes, and Debbie and Roy in the course bring you through that. So yeah, there's definitely options to avoid those ingredients.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing to the sensitive person, because I've gotten this question from the course before, is that some people really need to like feel safe with the shake. Let's say it that way. That they might need to try out a few different ones on just a small basis, see how their body responds before they pull the trigger and go, I'm going 2 weeks on this. And that is okay. And we talk about that in the course as well.
Some names, you guys, I'm not Clarissa, so I can't type fast like she does, but like some names would be physicians, elemental, like literally Google elemental diet and start looking at some of them that come up. And I know, what's the one that we just saw?
Absorb Plus.
Absorb Plus, right. Megan, do you have a preferred probiotic that you recommend to those transitioning off the elemental diet and onto real food?
I mean, sometimes we'll do like the Lactoprime from Claire Labs specifically from SIBO for SIBO conditions. But we kind of use a variety.
Yeah, we don't really use exactly.
The answer is no, they don't have an overly specific one. Okay, Laura, I did the elemental diet for 3 weeks, but it just moved my bacteria higher up. Why did it not resolve?
I mean, I haven't seen, how does she know it moved her bacteria higher up?
Did you retest?
That'd be the breath test, probably.
Oh, gotcha. Move the bacteria.
Have
We
you
haven't
heard of
specifically
all
seen that. What we have seen with some people is it might alter the ratio of what seems like someone might have high hydrogen at first and then methane come up the second time they test. And we have seen that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or the reverse.
Or the reverse.
Yeah.
Annika, I know was in one of our other sessions. Can you add a teaspoon of pure cocoa powder to make them chocolate flavor?
I think the answer was no, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer was
Yeah.
no, right? Because you don't want to risk it. Is there any way to see the ingredients on the formula? So I would just go ahead and
Yes.
Google. We talked about that. Kat, what's the stronger anti-yeast to take during the elemental diet? Nystatin or caprylic acid?
Probably prescription.
What was the question? What's stronger?
Mhm.
What's
I would
stronger?
imagine probably the prescription. Nystatin's a non-absorbable antifungal for the most part. It stays in your gut and it's quite powerful and very well tolerated. So if you have someone who can prescribe it and you're really concerned about yeast, I'd say that's probably the more powerful of the two. I haven't seen like a head-to-head comparison of them, to be totally honest.
Okay.
And the
Annika,
caprylic, we kind of keep you on longer. Like most people do caprylic acid, but we keep
Right.
them on longer.
so Karen's saying her doctor recommended 1 meal a day with the 2 shakes. Is this reasonable? So that's like a hybrid, right? So that wouldn't be a
That's a-
pure elemental
that's a
diet
partial.
scenario?
Yes.
That's a
And I would-
partial, right?
And I would say for treating SIBO, that's probably not appropriate or is not appropriate for SIBO. Maybe it helps a little bit, but again, what's been studied is full elemental diets for SIBO. We do talk about in our course how to use an elemental diet as what we call a partial elemental diet.
Or the elemental diet resets that we
Right.
mentioned as
or
well.
resets, and so people can do that, but that's for a different purpose.
Annika, Dr. Mona Morstein says to avoid dextrose if you have some fungal overgrowth. Is maltodextrone the same thing?
Tapioca maltodextrin is used in the dextrose-free formulas, from what I understand. But again, there's so many now that you gotta just look at the back of labels because things are changing. And
Okay.
in the course, what we do is literally we listed every elemental formula on the market with a link to view the ingredients so that people can see. And also for us, because we can't just list them because they change. Companies can change them.
Right. Okay.
Maltodextrin is absorbed slower than dextrose, so that's why it's safer for yeast.
All right. Thank you. Is drinking bone broth and tea okay while on the elemental diet?
Depends on the condition.
Okay. For
That seems
SIBO?
like generally, you wouldn't do bone broth, but teas should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but like no milk and sugar, folks, just saying. Okay, 2 more questions, then it's a wrap. Karen, I've heard doing the semi-elemental diet is better than doing a full elemental diet because of the free form amino acids and adding food back in and tolerating it. What do you experience with your patients who have SIBO emo?
With food reintroduction being tolerated, if they do our
Or is it with
transition
semi?
diet.
Is it with a semi?
Right, semi versus fully elemental.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
done much more for SIBO fully elemental than semi-elemental. But what I was
Okay.
going to say is I haven't seen food reintroduction be a problem if you
Yeah.
do it in the step-by-step fashion that we lay out. It's
Okay.
like go right back to the cheeseburger and
Yeah.
French fries that we talked about last time.
And we give some space for a little, maybe improvisation's the wrong word, but we give some like buffer. Some people are going to run through the transition quickly, like I did, whereas Debbie needed to go a little bit slower than I did. So we talk about how to do that in a
Step-by-step fashion, rather than just going from step 1 to step 5 immediately. You can do the steps quickly, but you want to do them in the progression that we lay out.
I just want to quickly add that I used to run people through a semi when I first started practicing SIBO, as well as elemental. And I actually found the semi-elemental less well tolerated than elemental. This is for SIBO, which was a surprise to me because publications indicated the opposite in general, like what this person said, are they better tolerated? I was surprised to see elemental went better for SIBO patients.
So
Well,
it's
the
okay.
elemental are less allergenic. 'Cause
Got it. So, and is it okay to do antifungals, neomycin or herbals? Which would you suggest?
I've never used neomycin.
It's not available right now.
Right.
Yeah, I've never.
I would say the only ones we've used are nystatin when I prescribe them for patients, and then caprylic acid when Debbie's working with people who are, most of our clients don't want to use medications, to be totally honest with you.
Okay.
I have used neomycin during elemental diet for people, but it's not available right now.
Right.
Unless you're like me and you have a stash, like I just have like.
I
one,
found a
two-
stash in my basement, but it expired 2015.
That's too long. That's too long. I'm not a
Dr.
doctor.
Roy,
but
is that okay? Can I use that?
for me, I think that's too long and I stretch it. Okay, Marcella, last question. If I need to do the elemental diet, buying the ingredients individually, for example, buying glucose, MCT oil, vitamins, partially hydrolyzed protein, and without buying the elemental diet shakes, my country doesn't have them. Will the course be for me? I'm suffering from SIBO.
Yeah, the course,
so.
I mean, the course takes you through exactly how to do an elemental diet, regardless of what formula you use.
Yeah, we don't
you
talk about
have
specific
You have links to my homemade, which is
Of
that.
We
course.
do, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's in multiple places in our course.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you go, y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for popping in on your vacation, everybody. Here is the craziest long link in the whole world.
Is that the same
And
link we have?
I couldn't make it as an admin. Here we go. So, and that's the coupon to get $50 off. So the access to the course is for a year. And do you guys have a customer service email in case anyone has any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can just email support@elementaldietsuccessplan.com.
And those are for like clarifying questions and admin questions.
Exactly. We can't answer personal health questions through that because our support team is not medically trained.
Support at elementaldietsuccessplan.com.
Yep.
Do you have access to the FAQs? Hey, Ruth, the FAQ is on, there are two different kinds of FAQs. One is in the course, but there's also one about the course on that link.
On the programs page.
Yeah, on the programs page.
Which is in the link that Siobhan just posted.
Okay. We'll also send you a replay of this. You are also, I didn't highlight this enough, that you are getting an exclusive small group Q&A on April 11th with Debbie and Roy if you enroll in the course. And the coupon expires, I think, on the 10th. So we'd love to have you. I'm saying we, Allison and I will not be there, but you'll be in very good hands. You'll be in very good hands. We're very excited about it. And we wish you all the best of health. And we thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Seebecker. Thank you too.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys
y'all.
for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks for
last
having
day,
us
Thanks for
again.
having us again. I think we should make this a weekly thing, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Mahjong and this. That sounds great. Okay, come on. Take care, everybody.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks.